So I'm here with Samantha Hernandez-Ortega, who is our supervising attorney at AlderLaw. Welcome. Welcome to the podcast room.
Very excited to be here.
Have you done a podcast yet in here or any?
I have not. I've passed by obviously when you guys are in action, but haven't been inside. So super excited for
So
this.
she got the headphones on. She put it on. The first thing you said is,
I feel like Mariah Carey.
And of all of the performers, Mariah Carey came up because
I recently went to a festival where she was the headliner, the very last person at the end of the festival, and grew up late 80s, early 90s, Mariah Carey, Madonna, Paula Abdul, everything, right? In
Straight
pop
up.
music, straight up, seriously.
Come on now.
Yeah.
So when I first met Gina, she had two loves in her life. Luis Miguel and Mariah Carey, right? And she knew the words to every one of the songs, right? And so I forget if it was the first Christmas, I guess it was. It was right before COVID. We went to Vegas for Mariah's Christmas show. And I got to say, she didn't move around a lot then and she didn't whatever, but man, she was a diva and it was worth it and it was terrific. And
so we stood up waiting for her about 45 minutes. I mean, this is the end of a long festival day where you're just dying to sit down. I mean, I'm no young spring chicken anymore. So standing
stop talking like that.
that many hours was just brutal on my knees. And I was like, Mariah, I'm giving you 10 more minutes. And then she came out with Boys to Men and did One Fine Day. And I thought, okay, I'm good. I can go home now. We're good.
And having just been in Philadelphia, Motown, Philly, come on now.
Exactly.
So I want to, this is kind of stream of consciousness. I want to talk about your position here, but also you just used some words that were negative that I want to talk about.
Okay, good.
So how do you feel young? Well, you don't talk about being old, right? So I had done a podcast, a thing about, I made comments about my age unintended, thinking that it was self-deprecating,
humanizing yourself,
humanizing myself. It showed humility, whatever. But really what I was telling myself is you're old. So, we all know that speech affects how we think, which how we act. So when you said, I'm not a spring chicken anymore, you are kind of telling yourself that you're older. And people are like, Mike, you seem younger than you ever have. And I say, well, that's because I don't say anymore. And I've caught myself from saying things like, well, you guys may not remember this, but, right? Or, back when I was a youngster, or, for 55, I'm just who I am. And I look at you and I'm like, what do you mean you're no spring chicken? Right? You're the little poitos in there, right?
Still looking around.
What do you think about that?
I think it's right. I think it is always what we say to one another, how we project, how we engage in that manner. Absolutely. But I will say my knees hurt.
Yeah. No.
So so absolutely. Yeah. We should be going ahead and saying positive things, or just not saying anything at all sometimes. And so with that, absolutely.
And I don't mean to be critical in any way.
Oh, no.
We have intentionally caught ourselves. First time we first started noticing it, we were 95%. We're saying shoulds and maybes and tries and wants and dreams and hopes and, all these things. And we caught ourselves. And, I'm surprised Gina actually agreed to marry me because I was catching her and she's like, stop it. But she changed her language. And I changed my language because, I didn't want to fall behind and tell her to do stuff that I wasn't doing. And so I say that because I feel like that's one of the singular most important things that anybody can do about changing their behavior.
You have influenced me to say, to stop saying I cannot do something, because we always can in life. And that's often what I tell clients. No, you can engage in that manner. You're just choosing not to because of the level of pain you have, right?
Amen.
Yes. And so I have caught myself, even to my husband, Junior, and I go, whoa, we can, we're just choosing not to.
Right.
And I think that's very important. People don't really think about that. Oh, I can't do this, I can't go there. No, you can. It's a choice whether to engage in that manner or not.
Right. And in fact, I just, right before we started, I was doing a little brief video on artificial intelligence. And one of the things that I was talking about is I bet people watching this say, well, I can't do artificial intelligence because I'm too old, not smart enough, don't understand it, I'm not a coder, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, look, I get it, but you've already self-defined what you can and can't do. And then the next question that we get is, well, I don't know what to do first. And then I say, so like any way you go is no better or no worse than any other way you go? Well, yeah, because I don't know. I'm like, okay, well, then just do something. Yeah. Right? And so that whole idea that you and your husband were talking about was just take the next step. So let's talk about the steps. All right? So practicing attorney, full caseload here, and then an opportunity for advancement, management position. And not only, I say this, not only have you grabbed the mantle, you have run with it at light speed. So amazing job that you're doing here. Tell us about what you do here, and if you like it, don't like it, what do you think?
So I came aboard as a young associate attorney. I've been here almost 2 years now. It feels a lot longer than that, but almost 2 years. And I've had my own caseload from the very start. An opportunity arose to go ahead, just like you said, presented itself for supervising attorney. And I think I opened up with a joke that I could do this and I can do that. And then somebody was like, well, do you want to do that? And I was like, wait a minute. It was a joke. You know me, always opening up with either something sports or a joke, right? That's just me. And they were very serious. And I thought, oh yeah, I'd love to jump at the opportunity. And I have grabbed that bull by the horns to go ahead and just full on yes. From, I think on a Tuesday, I applied and I was interviewed. And then Wednesday morning, the job was presented to me. I accepted, and I have fully accepted that. I've never been more happier in my life, my career. Junior will tell you, the dog will tell you, everybody around you will tell you how much more happier I am with this supervising position. I have my own caseload still, so I'm still hustling and bustling from behalf of my clients. I am also supervising the younger attorneys. I'm supervising the staff. I'm doing everything under the sun, from getting people's emails to go getting hooked up to settling cases. And it's amazing. It
really is amazing. And, for some people who don't know this, you worked with Nick Rowley at CZR. And in fact, it was Nick, who's a good friend of mine. And we were several years ago talking about up and comers and who's good, whatever. And Nick was in Montana and had broken out of CZR, and he recommended that we talk. And I'm like, well, look, if you say she's all that in a bag of chips, come on. Sure enough. But I think that your success can be summed up in one word. There's a lot of words, but an important word is mindset. You have always had this ability. You've always been able to do this job, to produce at a high level, to be who you are right now. The difference was you changed your mindset from I'm going to do this to I'm now going to do this. I can only do this to I can do anything I want. And that mindset, just like, it was almost like a click. And I say that because Gene and I have spent time talking about that. Managing attorney, Craig, all of our management team are really happy that you're here. And I've also noticed that part of that mindset that is you are really doing an amazing work with the Whittier Bar Association. And you're now the president of the Whittier Bar.
I am.
And I know I've spoken at one of the events, and Gina grew up in Whittier, but tell us about the things, not the stuff that lawyers do to go network and do whatever, but really the great stuff that the Whittier Bar Association is doing for East LA and for that area of the city.
So the Whittier Bar Association has come a long way. were and still kind of are a smaller bar association, of course, but we have really branched out. People from La Puenta's coming to us, Glendale, the Valley. People are coming because they're hearing about our up and coming, the board members.
It's the energy.
It's the energy. It's the life that's been brought into it. And we just did a legal fair. We always try to give back to the city of Whittier. I mean, we can't be called the Whittier Bar Association without the city of Whittier. And the people, the community is important to us. Not only that, but ensuring our attorneys have what they need, know up and coming things. We just did something with Michelle Fonseca Camana. She's great at social media, and she went ahead and presented what social media all about. How can we advance not only ourselves in the social media world, just like we're doing here today, but also go ahead and advance information to the community. So it always goes back to the city of Whittier and the community itself.
And Michelle, great lemon lawyer.
Amazing.
And when kind of COVID started and we're all reshifting, and we reshifted to social media. I saw Michelle early on. Mm-hmm. We had lunch with her, an amazing lawyer, but an amazing marketer. Exactly. See, that's a difference again in mindset. It's a mindset of, if people know what they're doing, have them share what they know with other people. Mm-hmm. So that the other people can know what they're doing. And it is not a mindset of, well, if I know what I'm doing and I don't tell anybody, then I'll be the only one who knows what I'm doing. Right? It is a complete difference of outlook. Mm-hmm. And everybody knows this, I think, at this point, because I've said it so many times, but growing up, I remember my parents, my traveling preacher parents, right? Evangelicals, but not the Jimmy Swaggarts and the Jim Baker. I'll steal from the till. It was, I hope there's money in the till today. But I remember my dad saying, because I said, Dad, we don't have enough money. Why are we always scrambling for cash? And he said, if you want money, son, in your life, you give money. If you want respect, you give respect. Oh, but Dad, you got to earn respect. So you do what you need to do, but if you give respect, you'll get respect. If you give help, you'll get help. If you give love, you'll get love. And the idea that giving actually increases your bounty is something that certainly I understand, and I know that I know understand that, and Junior as well. And it's a different mentality.
For me personally, so I grew up, we have similar backgrounds, although we came from different sides of the country, right? I grew up what my parents used to say, dirt poor. Grew up dirt poor, didn't have any money, wore the same outfits for about a year and a half of my life, the same shoes. My father's a truck driver. My mom was a stay-at-home mom for many, many years until she finally got her GED and kind of moved on. And so I get it. I get how important community is. I get how important it is to give back. And I think my whole mentality becoming an attorney was never, hey, yeah, let's go be rich and do all these things. No, it was to give back. It was to go ahead and make sure that my family and my community was always taken care of. And I always say, yeah, I'm not breaking through the glass ceiling, so to speak, on my own. When I break through the glass ceiling, I am totally 1000% dragging myself, my community, everybody through that glass, right? Not
100%.
Yeah, you have to, because knowledge is power, and you have to go ahead and empower that community, the people around you.
Yeah, and I know we came at this with kind of like not a full agenda what we're talking about, but here we are talking about life.
Yeah. Right.
And it's interesting. I did another video about my Loyola law school class that I'm teaching this fall, and how I've taught at Loyola as an adjunct, and now they've expanded it to a semester-long advanced civil litigation advocacy program. And people are like, well, what are you going to talk about? And I'm going to say, well, I'm going to talk about law, but I'm going to talk about life too. And frankly, the life part of my classes is what the students have really said empowered them and intrigued them, because they're like, nobody talks about this in law school. Nobody talks about this, period. But the idea of how do you take a good depo? right? And the idea that getting the sleep before, not drinking the night before, eating well, understanding that preparing for that depo is not a cram session, but like anything in life, it is about preparation and routine as you get to that. It's about thinking outside the box. It's about not worrying about failure and not identifying as a failure if you don't get everything you want. It's about putting things in perspective. That applies to everything in life. So let's talk about that. Okay, now let's do it within the context of a deposition. How about a trial? How about litigation? How about running a business? How about getting a job? How about networking? Right? All of these life skills apply to every business, every community out there. And so my law school class is peppered with how to be a good person who's a good lawyer, who can take care of themselves, who can take care of their family, who puts things in perspective. And that's how you have, in addition to the knowledge base of law, that's how you become a great advocate and a great litigator.
And that's what I was going to say, is the fact that anybody can be a lawyer. Anybody can go to law school.
We all know people where you're like, how the hell did you pass the bar?
Oh, gosh, if I could say how many times.
I've had people tell me that all the time.
I thought that. I was like, how did you get here? I don't understand that portion. But really, it's a lifestyle. And I think Nick Rowley was the first one to ever teach me that. Wake up, drink an entire glass of water, meditate, don't look at your phone. You've said that too. Don't look at your phone the first 30, 45 minutes you wake up. Work out, right? It's a lifestyle. If you want to be successful, it starts with yourself. Are you feeling good? Are you happy? Can you get to this headspace you need to be in? And okay, now what do I have to do for my cases? Because the way you present yourself, the way you go ahead, and everything from how you wake up, how your body's feeling, are you hydrated? That goes ahead and is shown through how you advocate for your client. Absolutely. It's a lifestyle. How am I going to be? You need to be a healthy person to go ahead and do a marathon of what it is to be a trial attorney.
So, changing topics, you have always been a great dresser. And I know we're changing topics on, everybody's like, where are you going, Mike? And I'm like, but I have seen, first of all, I used to wear a suit. Let me step back and say this. When I was a newer attorney, not younger, a newer attorney, I wore a suit, suspenders, tie every day. Opened my own practice, suit every day for the first 16, 17 years of my practice. Right? And then I got cool. Then I got comfortable. Then I said, oh, I can be X, Y, and Z. And it was really Rick Caruso, the billionaire, whatever, who's become very good friends with Gina, friends with me, but more with Gina. And through Gina, she said, I was having lunch with Rick and he's wearing a 3-piece suit with a tie. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? He goes, look, I'm a firm believer that you dress for success. And during COVID, even if I was the only one going to my office, I wore a suit. I sat there in a suit all day. I required my people, when they came to the office, to wear, business attire. And people who didn't want to do it, they quit. And people who wanted to do it, did it. Right? But the mindset is everything. When I'm at home and I'm working, I'm not in sweats, I'm in it. And it really kind of rekindled for me what that was my mindset as well. And so here I am, another day in the office now wearing a suit. And I say that because as you've kind of almost upticked your dress for success as well. I don't know if I've noticed that.
So my mom taught me 2 things. One, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, tone, right? And 2, you dress for the job you want. You never stop. And I think that's a bigger concept of you put your best foot forward, right? When you look good, you feel good, it's translucent. People read that right away off of somebody. And so people want to say, oh, it's so expensive. Yeah, if you're going, to Prada and all that, absolutely. Chanel, super expensive. But Gina knows best. She
Zara,
stops
me
and she's like, where did you get that? it's not necessarily how much you spend, it's what you feel like, and that comes out.
And see, and you will be at an event and people will come to you assuming you're the president just by the way you carry yourself.
Absolutely.
And how you look.
Yes.
They don't know who's who and whatever, right? People will, when I'm dressed for success, people will come to me and kind of defer to me, and they don't know shit about me. They don't know me from Adam, right? But it could very well be that just I'm dressed in a way that looks more prepared than most other people. And people are like, only the gifted, the talented, the special few, the chosen few are the ones that get the respect and the money and the kudos and the jobs and the referrals and whatever. I'm like, no. You know what? Putting on a coat and tie or wearing a nice outfit and standing up straight and smiling, that doesn't require any talent at all.
No.
And that's probably 90% of the success.
Exactly.
Okay. So, and the other thing I was going to say is you have fully embraced the art of note writing.
I have.
And you have stationery with your name on it, just like that mine, very
Yes.
similar. I preach about that, but you have taken that on. And tell us about, do you think it works? How do you know?
I will say in the beginning, I thought, he's telling me something again, and I don't know about this. And I started to do it. Every time I settled a case, a handwritten letter, like you said, stationery, my name at the top, AlderLaw on the envelope side, to the adjuster, to defense counsel. I was even writing them to mediators. Hey, Ed, just want to say thanks very much on that mediation. Could have done it without you. I try to make them as personal as possible. I wrote one with defense counsel who's up north. He's a 49er fan. My husband's a 49er fan. Sorry, everybody.
You are a 49er fan.
I am not a 49er fan. I'm a Patriot fan.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Not same thing.
It don't matter.
But I will write things. So I wrote to him and, I said, great working with you. I know we were at the same game. We just didn't know. We took a depo that Thursday after that game. And we were just, me and sports, just chit chatting. And I just happened to write that. And he wrote to me, said, hey, I can't write you a letter, but I want to say I thoroughly enjoyed your letter. I thoroughly enjoyed working with you. Not a lot of people have, and he just went on and said great things. And that's just a connection, right? It's a bigger way of connecting to somebody. Because next time I have a case with them, I remember Sam. Sam knows a lot of sports, but she can advocate for her client and take a depo.
So now that this is starting to become routine for you, how have you, like I tell people, I'm like, make it easier for you to do it routinely. So what have you seen in your own practice that allows you to do this more consistently?
I keep them, my stationery in the envelopes, in the top left-hand drawer first. So they're there, automatic. I don't have to go searching for them. So one, it's always the first step. How do I do this, right? Physically, how do I do this? They're there. So I either do them that day, as soon as my settlement email goes out, I do them that exact day. Or I do them Friday mornings. So I know, okay, if I have time, okay, if not, I move on. Or Friday mornings, okay, there's the drawer out.
What pen do you use?
I have these really cheap Amazon pens that I personally buy for myself because they're super, I'm a tiny person. I have thin little hands. It's a tiny pen. And so I just use that pen. It's at my work, it's at my work desk. It's at my home desk.
And you like writing with the pen?
I like writing with the pen.
Right. So you have easy access to the stationery, the envelope, the pen that you like to write with. You try to do it close in time.
Yes.
And then you write it, you put it in the mail slot, it goes out. Do you hand address the envelopes?
I hand address the envelope as well.
I always say people, they're like, oh, but that takes extra time. I'm like, look, when you get a holiday card, which ones do you open? Do you open the pre-printed ones or the ones that have a hand address? Like, well, I only open the ones that are hand addressed, right? And is the card inside any different than the other one? Most of the time, no. Yeah. Why'd you open that one? I don't know. It was because it was handwritten. Right? So we're programmed to not only read personal notes, but when it's hand addressed to us, to open it. And so now let's go to, do you have kind of a go-to formula of what you write?
It always says the first name, obviously. I try to go with the first name, not Mrs. or Mr.
Right.
I like to be personal. The second line is always, had a great time. Thank you so much. Something about that. And then the next line is typically something personal. So I knew another attorney that was going on vacation. He had all girls and his wife. I said, I hope you had a pleasure on vacation with the girls. Tell the girls I said hello.
Perfect.
Done.
Perfect. So start adding into that, asking for something or commenting on doing something. So I would add on certain things. I hope I get to meet you in person if you haven't met in person. Here's my cell number. Let's set up an in-person meeting so we get to know each other better. Or if you're writing a note to someone that you respect and want to, have lunch or comment. I do this with defense lawyers who are badasses. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, dude, can I take you to lunch and can you teach me some shit? Mm-hmm. Like, no one's ever asked me to do that. Not a plaintiff's lawyer. And then I learned the goods, right? So I routinely put something nice about them, or thank you for your hard work and professionalism. And usually it's a case that maybe I'm not directly involved in. Thank you for your hard work and professionalism and working with Sam on the whatever case. I know we didn't get a chance to meet in person, but I'd love to meet you. Here's my number. Mm-hmm. Or can I take you to lunch or coffee or Zoom just to kind of listen and learn from you, right? I have found that not only do people open personally addressed notes, and one, they sincerely appreciate the personal note. And it's very likely that it's one or the only or just a few that they really get, right? But also that the vast majority of people are not asked for something.
True. Very true.
And asking for coffee, for lunch, for Zoom, for advice, for book readings, for lists of things that you would suggest to learn from, other people that they might suggest that you talk to. Hey, you were really awesome in deposition. Did you learn that a certain way? You have any recommendations for things that classes or books or whatever? Hey, could I take you to lunch? And I'd love to hear your thoughts and just learn from you about how to take a better deposition or trial or a mediator. I know mediators don't have a lot of time. Make sense?
Yes.
And I don't know if I'm sure you've heard this because I say it a lot, but I don't know if it resonated about when I was a newer lawyer. I almost said younger, newer lawyer. One of my goals was to become president of CALA. So I just get elected. I forget what's your first office, treasurer or secretary. I forget which one. Mm-hmm. So now I know, okay, 6 years later, I'm going to be president of CALA. I don't know shit about anything. What am I going to do? I don't know how to do this. But I knew how to write notes. And I knew that failure was not an identity. It was an event. And I knew there were a lot of people that knew more than I did. So I wrote to the gods of my community, the Brown Greens, the Bruce Barletts, the Stan Jacobs, the Gary Pauls, the Tony Stewarts, the Garo Martirosians, I knew Garo and Gary Dordick and Chris Spagnolis and I basically said, hey, you are amazing and exactly what I hope to be someday. I just got elected secretary to be president of CALA, and you were such an amazing president, amazing whatever. Can I take you to lunch and just listen and learn from you? I swear to God, almost to a T, every one of them took me up on it. I paid for lunch, and I got 3 hours of the greatest education. Mm-hmm. To hear a Brown Green tell me about what was going on in PI in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s and how it changed, and don't get afraid of the tort reform. We dealt with that 6 different times, and this is what's going to happen in your practice and how you got to watch out for this and make sure you do. I'm like, what? And people are like, how did you get that opportunity? It's like, I spent 45 seconds and I wrote them a note. But I asked them for something. Mm-hmm. And most people don't get asked. I tell everyone, ask me and I will help you. And then they write me a note and they don't ask for help. They don't give me a return information. I don't know how to find them, right? So anyway, I thought that's interesting. And so if you're not asking for help, ask.
Well, it's a lost art form, right? Nobody's writing letters anymore by hand in particular. Everybody's emailing, everybody's texting. So one of the comments I got from somebody else was, didn't care for my handwriting, because I was like, what was this? But was like, thanks for writing me that letter. That made me feel good that day.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just got a text from a lawyer who I've known for a long time, but I dealt with his firm and a young partner at their firm. And I wrote to them both, and I put the young partner, her name first, and then I put his name. Again, always not conforming to the hierarchy of senior partner, junior partner, whatever, because she was the one who did most of the work. And it was just like a standard, hey, so-and-so and so-and-so, as usual, class act, your firm is fantastic. So great to work with you. So, you did an amazing job, and I hope to meet you in person, whatever. Anyway, he texted me on Thursday, and he said, we just got your note, class act. Right?
Love that.
Next time I see him, all good, right? You're setting the table.
Exactly.
Adjusters, mediators, judges, court reporters, videographers, clerks, bailiffs, the people at Starbucks. Never stops.
Yeah.
So here you are. I feel like I'm the passing the torch of the to the new master to teach the next whatever. But it's great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You killed this first
Thank
one.
you. Yay.
Right?
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Dave.